me fucking scoot back a little so I guess so I don't punch the microphone. Hey, come listen to our podcast, yeah. Please listen, it's a hitch. If you don't listen to our podcast, yeah, then you are a bitch. Maybe that one.
Yeah, go ahead and do your intro, Owen. Go ahead, take it over.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Filmoscopy Podcast, a show with three friends. Where three friends discuss Brian De Palma movies. Today we're striking while the iron's hot and doing Mad Max Fury Road. Not Furiosa. We're going back in time to 2015's Fury Road, directed by a longtime friend of the podcast, George Miller. Unfortunately, not starring longtime friend of the podcast, Mel Gibson.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, dude. This movie, like, Savannah does not like these type of movies whatsoever, but she watched it with me because she was crocheting my birthday gift from last year, and she's still working on it. It's funny, I joked around, I didn't get a birthday gift, I didn't get a Christmas gift, I didn't get a Valentine's Day gift, and I'm going to get it for my birthday this year. So it's almost a whole year to wait for this thing she was making me.
Is it a sack cradle?
I wish, man, that'd be sweet. No, it's funny that you're talking about this. I got to do this real quick, man, because like me and Cody, we've talked about it multiple times, to have like hitched our wagon to piss poor movie studios because we don't want to be complete Disney shills, you know? So I wanted to say about Furiosa, which has been distributed internationally because this is an Australian movie. It's an Australian movie franchise, so everywhere else in the world it's been distributed by Warner Brothers. Right now, this movie's been out a month, or almost more than a month, and it is made on a $168 million budget. It has made $161.7 million, making it a financial failure. Now, here's the thing.
Just barely.
I gotta say this real quick. It didn't even break even because you have to make close to $400 million to break even for this bullshit. We'll talk about Fury Road because it was like $20 million from breaking even with all the money it did make at $350 million. So there's a much maligned movie that we recorded a podcast on about 2 years ago. It was called Morbius. A lot of people said it's the worst movie of all time, the worst comic book movie of all time. And it's quite funny to me. It became a meme, and Sony even released it in theaters again, trying to get people to see it and all this other shit. Everybody was just poking fun at Sony because they're cradling the Disney Marvel ball sack, and they're like, please, just give Spider-Man back to Disney, please. It's not going to happen, so fuck you. But Morbius got a grand total box office of $167.5 million. So, real quick, and I feel like we should do this for these. I didn't talk to the guys about this at all. Let's see what they think. The Rotten Tomatoes for Morbius is 15%. The Rotten Tomatoes of Furiosa is 90%. So, let this be a lesson to you that whether you have a good Rotten Tomatoes score or not, you're not going to make any fucking money. And Morbius, the worst comic book movie of all time, quote, unquote, 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 made more money than Furiosa. That everybody's like, oh, George Miller's such a great director. So I find it amusing. There's a warmness in my heart that this movie, that had Chris Hemsworth, that shows that he's pretty much useless as a box office draw if he's not playing Thor, in this Furiosa movie. And it made less money than a Spider-Man side villain who's not even a main villain for Spider-Man, and that's Morbius. So I find that quite entertaining. But
we're now on our we hate George Miller arc. Fuck you, George Miller.
Oh no, it's not, I don't hate George Miller. I just think it's funny that all of his stuff is like so, like, what do you call it? It's like almost he's like the Australian version. I don't know if he's got this kind of piss poor attitude, but people hold him in reverence of like Martin Scorsese, and he's like he does. I think it's really good what he does with the Australian community, bringing in mostly Australian actors for all these movies that he does, except for the main roles that he gives to British people or British people that can act Australian at least. And it's like, yeah, but his movies don't make any fucking money. Like, what's the fucking like? I remember Scorsese was like, he said there was a little meme that went around. He had his dog, and he called his dog something. It's something to do with the movie, like Academy Award or some stupid shit. And then the Russo brothers, one of them was like, "Oh, that's really cute. Like, here's my dog. I call him Box Office." It's like, yeah, because you make all the fucking money with it. And of course, nobody makes any money outside of Marvel. Like Chris Evans, he's not a big movie star. Robert Downey Jr., none of his movies make any money. He was a part of Oppenheimer. And that movie wasn't sold on the fact that it was Cillian Murphy as the box office draw or Robert Downey Jr. was in the movie. It was a Christopher Nolan movie. That's what people are paying to see. So it's just quite entertaining. And this movie right here, I actually liked this movie. Like, even Savannah was like, the movie wasn't bad. Like, she didn't understand half the shit was going on. I didn't either. I mean, I had to look at the Wikipedia article to like, okay, so I got that. I didn't know what the fuck was happening. And all this other shit. It's like, it wasn't boring, that's for sure. This movie just kept going. It is real funny seeing Tom Hardy run real fast, and they have it sped up even faster in the movie.
Yeah, that was a kind of a weird choice that they do throughout the movie, where they like speed up the footage. There's some.
Yeah, you can definitely, but it's also the music's played in a way that you think it's supposed to be in real time. Like, yeah, he's not moving that fast. That's Tom Hardy's, and it's real funny. There's one shot in this movie where Charlize Theron. They're standing by the 18-wheeler truck. I can't remember what it's called. And Tom Hardy walks up to her, and I can obviously tell that he's like 3 steps behind her, but the way it's shot is that they're side by side. Because Tom Hardy's like 5'9". He's short, and she's almost like 6 foot tall. So they had to do this. I mean, he probably had extenders in his shoes, but he's standing a little further back. But the way it's shot, it's like you think they're next to each other, and they're obviously not. And I wouldn't have known it myself if I didn't know. In The Dark Knight Rises, they said he wore like 9-inch heels to be a little bit taller than Christian Bale, because Christian Bale is 6'2" and he's 5'9". So it's pretty entertaining. But yeah, we'll get this whole thing.
They had to pull off a fucking elf type shot. You know what I'm talking about? Where he's like literally the guy way in the back or whatever the fuck.
When he's sitting on Papa Elsa.
Is this movie? Let me ask Owen this. Owen, you're the Mad Max like expert here. This movie is like a continuation of Mad Max's story. This isn't a reboot, right?
It's like kind of both and all at the same time. It doesn't necessarily really connect to any of them. I remember when this was coming out, there was a lot of people that were like, "Oh, this is meant to be a reboot," and they were like, "Oh, because it has the Max is different." The actor who plays Max is a different character, or not a character. I mean, is a different actor. He gets his car back after it's been fucking like blown up like 10 times already.
And it gets blown up again here.
Yeah, and then parts of his backstory.
That car, he doesn't get his car back at the end, does he? That's not his car when he drives up in it.
No, it gets destroyed in between the two rigs or whatever.
Yeah,
it gets like smushed.
So I can't wait.
I love Hardy's voice in this movie, where it's just his voice, but he makes it deeper. He's like, "That's mine." I don't remember me and Cody were talking. Voice.
me and Cody were talking about that, and we actually kind of found it hard to understand.
Yeah, I couldn't understand most of what he was fucking saying in this movie. It's like,
I said,
I'm glad
he sounds like an angry toad to me.
I'm glad he was surrounded by like eight other characters at all times, so I could fucking understand what was happening. Like,
dude, his spoken intro at the beginning of this movie was, I wouldn't say rough. It was deep enough to keep me intrigued, but I did not understand almost a word he fucking said. I'm like, there's no way this is Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have Mel Gibson narrate narrate the first 3 movies. I'm like, that wouldn't have Tom Hardy. This has got to be a narrator's voice. But then he started referring to himself as I did this. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's actually something funny to bring up, and is one of my gripes with the movie. And I don't have too many. Try as I might to be contrarian with this movie, I even have to be like, okay, yeah, it's a well made movie.
I will
say myself, this is a fantastic movie. I think easily the best one out of the series, and there are a few minor gripes here and there, but I mean, this is honestly like a 5-star movie to me. It's just my main gripe, and it's not even a big one, is just that Tom Hardy's just hard to understand sometimes.
Yeah, he's serviceable. I don't have anything against Tom Hardy as an actor or anything, but
no.
And I don't think
I think Tom Hardy's a really good actor. I just think his voice his dialect from London is extremely.
It seemed like in this movie, and it kind of corroborates with like a lot of what you hear about the backstory of the filming. From what I understand, like the filming of this was kind of just unpleasant. They filmed this out like in the Nambian desert, so they had to stay like in fucking some like crappy little town in the middle of nowhere in Africa.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you too. That final scene.
No, I thought they filmed it in Australia.
Nah, they filmed this one in Nambia.
The final scene with like the rig where they finally kill what's his face, the white haired guy. I can never
Morton
fucking
Joe.
catch his name. What is it?
Mortan Joe.
Mortan Joe.
Yeah, Morton Joe.
Immortan.
Oh,
like immortal, but without the mortal or the toll at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So that scene, I thought I had read somewhere or heard somewhere before that took like 45 days to film that one like sequence or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I couldn't remember if it was this movie that it was talking about or Furiosa, where one of the scenes took so long. But
it might have been
Tom Hardy.
Sorry,
and Tom Hardy, like I said, I love Tom Hardy for bringing Venom to the big screen. He was an asshole to Charlize Theron, like on this movie, to the point where she felt like she had to have a bodyguard.
You read that too, where he was like, I guess he would show up late, and he was kind of like being kind of antagonistic. Yeah, exactly. But I guess he like apologized later on, like as the movie was going on, and especially when the premiere happened. He was like, "Damn, this is like, I need to apologize to George Miller because he really pulled this shit together."
So he was just being an asshole because he was miserable?
I remember reading that he said, yeah, he was miserable. He didn't understand the vision of this movie as it was happening, and then when he finally saw the cut of the movie, at like the Canes movie press when he was being interviewed with all the castmates, he cut like a long apology to George Miller saying, you were right, I was wrong. Holy shit. And then the whole Charlize Theron thing, she's come out and said that, he was borderline abusive towards her. And he's come out and said, like, he took all responsibility for that. He should have been a lot more mature than he was and shit like that. So
Tom Hardy came out and said, "I'm sorry, I'm bad."
Yeah, practically. But, if you look at the behind-the-scenes stuff, like, the way they shot this movie, like, almost all of its practical effects and, like, all the shit that they did, it just looks like fucking, like, you can't really tell what's happening. There's so much shit going on that I could imagine being in the moment and not having that kind of, like, in the director's chair, like, look of what's happening and, like, understanding all that shit. How you would be like, what the fuck's going on?
I don't think there was too much. I mean, there was a lot of stuff happening in some of these scenes, but I don't think it was hard to follow.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't think the film itself was hard to follow, but I'm just saying, like, as the way,
like in that
moment. As they were filming it, I'm saying that,
Gotcha.
That a lot of it is definitely, like, the editing is so solid in this movie.
Yeah.
The only thing,
they actually.
Yeah,
go ahead. I just wanted to make sure we covered this part.
Yeah.
The guy who did the cinematography of this movie was John Seal, and he was the cinematographer for the first Mad Max movie. Mm-hmm. And then the guy who did the last two, which was the Road Warrior and Snooze Fest in the Dome, and that guy was actually going to be the cinematographer for this movie as well, but then he ended up leaving the project like after pre-production or something like that. So they brought the original guy from the first movie back, and I would say the director told him, he goes, "Hey, make sure the focus of the scene is in the center of the camera, so the people don't have to like search for it. That's why he knew he had so much shit going on in this movie.
Speaking of pre-production, wasn't this movie like in development hell for a long time? Like, wasn't it like he was
87.
Like since 87?
Yeah, they were
going to have this is going to be another Max movie with Mel Gibson. Like that was the whole point.
I know. I watched a video not too long ago. It was kind of talking about the history of the Mad Max video game, the one that came out like 2015, around the same time as this movie. And it was talking about how, like, apparently, it was talking about the development hell of this movie, but it was also, like, that game was in development hell as well, because, like, Miller apparently had been trying to get that game off the ground since, like, 2002 or 2003 or something, but he kept, like, clashing with Warner Brothers and everything, because he's like, no, these are ideas I have for the next movie. You can't use that in the game. So like the developers would have to go back and like kind of like come up with something new. And then eventually Warner Brothers kind of just like took creative control away from Miller for the game so that they could fucking like finish it. And it turns out that like some of the ideas for the game actually ended up like in the movie anyway. So there's like some kind of like, I guess that's why Miller probably doesn't consider the game canon or anything, but it's just interesting that it pretty much nothing Mad Max happened for that long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it ran into a lot of issues. Yeah, with the game, it's really weird. I remember it being like George Miller. Yeah, he was like working on it and he was like spearheading like kind of the story development and shit. But then I just remember he had to drop out or something, and then. Because Warner Brothers owns this IP, they were just like, hey, yeah, we have all this like pre-production info and shit. So here you go, have at this. And then they were like, okay.
There was something specifically about the ownership of the IP that changed, that basically made it to where Warner Brothers could be like, yeah, like this is the studio, they're going to finish it. Miller doesn't have a say in this, because he was the reason why it was taking so long for it to even be made in the first place, and like. I think there was actually a couple of different like times where it started up, pre-production or whatever on the game, and then it got shut down because Miller would either get busy or he would be like, no, you can't do that because that's what I'm doing for my next movie. Which of course for the next movie that wouldn't come out for another fucking decade after the point where he would say something like that, and so I think there was just something that happened with the IP to where Warner Brothers, I don't know if they like. Owned some of the rights or something, but they ended up getting all of it, and they're like, okay, we can finish this and be done with it.
Yeah.
So.
But anyways, yeah, so that's the development hell for the game. But the development hell for the movie, from what I remember, they were trying to film this like in the late 90s. They were trying to get some pre-production stuff said. And then I guess, from what I remember, like 9/11 had happened and it delayed production, and then the Iraq War happened, and then Mel Gibson had his meltdown.
Did you know there was going to be a movie that you're going to find the head Venom Beast from X-Men and Catwoman all in the same movie?
What?
Well, you have Nicholas Hoult, the guy who ended up joining up with Max and them, that kind of obsessed with the Mortal Joe guy. Yeah. That's Beast from the 2011 X-Men movies, the younger Beast.
Tom Hardy's
Venom, and then you had the Kravitz chick and her tits hanging out, who's Catwoman.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. For some reason, in my mind, I thought you were being literal, like there's some kind of movie that was being made with those characters. I was like, I don't understand.
No, we're watching it, baby, right now, and I will say this: Miss Kravitz's package is not huge, but her nipples are dense. You know what I'm saying?
You can't see them.
Like, you saw them a lot in this movie. It's like, holy shit. I even told Savannah, I was like, I'm surprised you didn't say anything, because her nipples are right there. Like, poking through.
So, the part in the movie where she's trying to go back to fucking Joe, Morton Joe?
No, that's another chick, though. That's not
I thought that was her character.
No, it was some.
No, there's another chick. There's a dark complected chick with longer hair than her. She's got shorter hair.
Uh-oh.
But she does the whole like going back to him a couple of times, right? Because isn't she the same one that later on she's like take me with you or whatever, like at the end? But it was all like a trick.
No.
That's Furiosa.
That's somebody else.
Car. Oh Jesus.
No, that's that's completely no, because she's the one that got grabbed by them and took into Imperial. She was
No,
in
no, no.
Mortal Joe's car,
Yes, I know that
but she
Zoe.
got grabbed. She never wanted to go back. It was another chick who had long dark hair that was
No,
kept wanting to go back. That was the same chick that did that.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is that the one that earlier? I know that Zoe Kravitz. I know who Zoe Kravitz is. The one that in earlier on that she tried to like run back whenever they were like trying to catch it when the convoy or whatever was trying to catch up to him. She was the one that tricked them at the end to get Furiosa into his car, right? Like she's the one that stood up and she's like, take me with you or whatever.
She said, "I want to get away."
Yeah, that's because she was Rictus. That's Nathan Jones, former WWE wrestler, and Rico from the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie. And he's the one. She was like, "But let me." And he picked her up and put her in the car, and then that's when I can't remember what the fuck happened. She was playing coy at that point, and then turn everybody against
Furiosa. It was like sneaking in or something. I can't remember it now exactly what happened. There's so much stuff going on in that moment, but somehow she helped Furiosa get into the vehicle to kill Immortan Joe.
Cheetah, that fucking bitch.
Sloppy Immortan Joe.
I like how one of them is just named Cheeto. That's my favorite one.
Cheeto?
Yeah, there's one of
the little. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one of them's named Cheeto. Here, I could give you the list of the names of the wives.
Hey, is the guy that is the little baby guy who looks at the magnifying glass? Is that another one of Joe's kids?
Yeah, that's one of his son. His name is shit. Hold on, I remember what it was.
Blaster.
Yeah, his name's Master. His name is going to be known relative. I'm looking on the wiki, bro. His name is Corpus Colossus. So
that's iconic.
That's his first son. Yeah, I guess they were trying to. I don't know why his first two kids. So I didn't really look into it a whole lot, but I guess he needs to get these pure women who aren't mutated or fucked up, so he can make a fucking Superman or some shit, offspring to repopulate the world with or something. It's probably explained in the comic. There's a prequel comic that came out.
My impression was that see, the thing is, I don't even understand what was wrong with his other son. He was kind of
he had no legs.
Yeah. He was stupid.
He didn't have legs.
No, Lance is talking about Corpus. Cody, you're talking about.
I'm talking about the former pro wrestler son.
Yeah. Rictus.
The dum dum. I mean, yeah, he's kind of a dum dum, but yeah. And when they cut the baby out,
it's so funny to me.
When they cut the baby out, it's funny because he's like, I had a brother, and he was perfect in every way, and everyone's outside just not reacting.
Everybody's like, okay, bro, whatever.
What's so funny to me is his that visual in this movie is extremely based. These movies are always based on visuals versus over story, a cohesive story. Because like I said, the story. I like this movie. I'm not bashing it, but that's just what it is. You're not watching this movie to get a stone cold plot that you can follow through. There's going to be some things you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's just how it's going to be. And that shot at the end where Rick just rips out the engine of this truck he's standing on. And he's like, pulling up, and then the fucking truck crashes, and obviously it's going to fucking kill him in this instance. And it's like, what a fucking idiot. He could have just jumped back on the car at that point. And, or whatever it may have been, it was just fucking funny. This dude wasn't very smart, but that visual of him holding up the engine that's on fire, I guess, is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool visual. Yeah, what really makes this movie, and one of the things I really like about it, is just kind of what it shows of this world and the society, I guess, that Immortan Joe has. There's a lot of little side.
Yeah, my scrotum.
Yeah, Lord Scrotum. There's a lot of little side details.
Lord Scrotum, what were they blowing on his chest? At the beginning, before they introduce him as a character, they're blowing like shit on his back, on his chest. He looked like he had a bunch of like fucking blisters and shit.
Yeah, they're putting talcum powder on his ass. I don't know. I assume he had some kind of injury or something, maybe like some burns. He's got like a Darth Vader shtick going on with this fucking mask and everything, so.
Yeah, because his mask is like really attached, obviously.
Yeah, like pulls his fucking face off, yeah. But I guess going back, and then, I guess we'll kind of go through the normal run through of like, what our experiences are. One of the first things I wanted to say when we were talking about the intro, just with Jeff, not Jeff, Tom Hardy's like opening introductions. I don't know where the fuck I got Jeff from. Who the fuck is Jeff?
Jeff Hardy. The charismatic enigma.
Jeff Hardy, yeah, fucking pro wrestler. But with his intro, and this is one of the smallest nitpicks I have, is so in all the other movies, there's a kind of this like idea that the movies are supposed to be like these legends or whatever. So, in the first one, they kind of have this, if I remember right, I don't really remember much of the first one, even though I watched it not too long ago. I know it has some unspoken, some nameless narrator. And then Mad Max 2, it has, like, the Pharaoh boy. I think he's the person who's supposed to be telling the story, if I remember right. And then in Mad Max 3, I think there's another narrator, and they don't say who it is. It's another nameless narrator. So there's supposed to be like these legend, like folktale stories and stuff. And like on one hand, I feel like just having Max, open with that kind of diminishes that aspect. But on the other hand, I feel like it kind of helps you get into the character's headspace a little bit more. I could definitely see how, just especially with a new actor, you could probably feel a little bit alienated by this new Max. So that's my bitch. That's the one thing I could bitch about, is that I kind of wish that they had done more of that, the legend storyteller type shit.
I don't like, but I think it's weird that when he has a vision of the people that he quote unquote let down, and you see the little girl first. Mm-hmm. And it's like, who in the fuck's this little girl supposed to be? He didn't have a daughter.
Yeah, that's another thing.
It's like, why is there any significance to this? Why couldn't you have just like played a clip of his wife from the first movie, and then, like characters that we had seen, like if you expected, like that's the word this movie doesn't, it doesn't toe the line of, is this a reboot? Or is this a continuation? Because Wikipedia says this is a continuation, and there's nothing to tell you that this is a reboot.
I just think if you really look at like every single Mad Max movie, they kind of all do stand alone in their own way. Like you can alone inside I. They reasonably you could like watch any one of these movies without ever seeing any of the other ones and completely comprehend what's happening. Yeah.
Except for Thunderdome, just don't watch it.
It's bad.
It really sucked. This it's so funny watching this after Thunderdome really opens my eyes on how fucking boring Thunderdome is.
Nah, dude, Thunderdome, they should literally like split that movie in half, and the half you should watch is be called Mad Max Dome, because it's the match, and then you can call Thunder the other part, because there's like very little substance. Like, it's just, God, I hate that fucking second half of the movie fucking much. And then
Mad Max,
like the whole
Lord
point,
of the
like
Flies.
he goes when he tells with poodle hair, and when he tells them you can go 160 days in that direction, you're going to see nothing but salt. And I'm like, no, there was a green area in the third movie, Max. Hold on a second. Where the fuck was that at, Max?
He's like, I forgot.
So
shit.
He's like, oh. No, he goes, did you see those kids? I don't want to hang out with them again.
He's like, I will never go back there.
They ended up going to that abandoned city anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Wait, what? Do what?
They did go to that abandoned city at the end of 3, so they didn't even go back to the area with the water and the green. So
Now at the end of 3, at the end of 3, they go in that dude's plane, and then Max gets left behind.
I love how
I told Savannah when we were watching this movie, I go, "Oh, go ahead, Cody."
I was just gonna say I do like how like at the end of every one of these movies, like it seems like they make a point to be like, yeah, Max is not going to be with these people anymore. Like he is leaving, he's on his way or whatever. Or they're leaving him behind or whatever it is, so that there's no expectation that whatever the next movie is should involve the other characters that you see.
Yeah, I always like Max. How it's like
I do.
He always has to be forced to help anybody, pretty much. Like he's never willing to like lend a hand. He always has to be, captured or something, or put into a situation where he's like, well, fuck it, I guess.
Even in this movie, whenever he
Savannah,
takes all the go ahead, Lance. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Cody. It's fine.
I was just gonna say in this movie, like when he's in the rig and they he's like taking all the guns that are stashed away and he puts them all in the bag and then he climbs up on top. I was like, oh shit, he's gonna fucking like drop this bag of guns and they're gonna be screwed.
Well, it's so funny. Like I was telling Savannah, I'm like, yeah, there's not gonna be a happy ending for these characters. Like they're not getting together. That's like I told her, like, I think the appeal to these movies are like this is a fantasy movie, but it's based in what could be a reality. There's no lightsabers, there's no planets. It's just like this is planet Earth. This is what happens after nuclear war, and this is one guy who's just an anti-hero. He just feels like very connected to a real human instead of being just good versus evil.
Yeah.
And I told her, like, that's what these movies are, like, the appeal to these movies are. And this is a very much niche audience that watches this, that loves this, like, franchise. Because there's nothing in this franchise I could love. Just watching it, it's like, okay, and this movie is the best movie of the franchise that we've watched. I liked, I changed my opinion on Road Warrior. I liked the first movie, actually. But that third movie, man, that was a fucking clunker. Like, golly damn. And to be honest with you, like, I understand, like, we usually side with a director over a studio when it comes to certain, like, most things because of a director's vision. But somebody should have really stepped in on Mad Max 3 and go, hold on a second. Do you really want to have these kids? They're not good.
Well,
why does it have to be?
Didn't you say when we were doing that episode that like Miller had like a co-director or something for that one?
Yeah, there was
his.
Lance, you sound like a robot sometimes.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Earlier when you were talking, it sounded like someone was just doing.
I thought somebody was farting. I was like, somebody just blasting at us.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you guys hear me? Do I sound okay? I'm laying down because my back is kind of fucked up. We were at the zoo like 2 days ago for fucking 6 hours, and I'm like, I'm tired. My couches are not comfortable. I've been downstairs all week with my girlfriend because we went on vacation.
Yeah. So
I'm laying down on the bed right now, trying to find a position where I'm hoping the wire's not touching where we're getting the robotic sound on the podcast. You guys got to let me know if you hear the robotic shit with my headphone.
All right.
Okay, so can you hear me right now at all?
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, you're fine now. Yeah.
Okay, so I got to tell you a quick story about this headphone I got me here. So 2 days ago, we went to Nashville Zoo. We get there right at 10 o'clock, and we don't leave until, oh boy, man, I want to say 4:30, almost 5. No, it was probably like 4 o'clock because it was getting close to rush hour. And the whole fucking, like, the interstate was backed up, so we ended up going the long way to get to Ashton City. And so we get home, we get the car.
There it goes.
They're hungry.
You're doing it again.
Let's do it again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my bad. So we get back home to Clarksville and we go to Steak and Shake. And so we go inside. You're tapping on the screen because you don't have to talk to somebody at Steak and Shake to get your food, which is pretty nice. But right below the screen, where you tap to get your food, they have these two little money machines. I guess you can feed coins in one, and you can feed in bills in the other one to pay for your meal. Well, I hit the total button and I tap my card, and I bend down for something. My headphone falls out into the change machine, and this thing, I mean, it goes into this motherfucker, and you hear this, it's just like it's trying to process what the fuck is in this machine. I'm like, this thing is about to fucking just crush this headphone, and these are like $80 Raycon headphones that Savannah got me for my birthday a couple years ago, and I love them. I'm like, oh no, I'm just pissed off. Like, I just cannot believe this happened. And they tried to get it out, and they couldn't. I'm like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow when, because they said their boss was going to be in tomorrow. He could open the machine. I'm like, okay. I'm like, God, I'm going to get there, and this thing's going to be in fucking pieces and shit like that. And they called me, like, or closer to midnight, and they said, just let you know, we actually got the headphone to pop out. It's perfectly fine. I'm like, oh, thank God. So, but it was so fucking just irritating. Like, this whole, like, I'm not the type of person that causes, like, problems in, like, a public setting, like a store or a restaurant or some shit. I'm not that person. But for me, like, my headphone just fell into your change machine. Like, who the fuck? They know me as this triple steak burger guy because I go there and get a couple of triple steak burgers on Fridays. It's kind of like my little treat of the week.
Now they
and I'm like, well, you're not gonna know me as the headphone in the machine guy. So I'm like, oh God, it was so fucking miserable. Like that experience. I was sitting at home thinking, I guarantee you that thing got grounded up. Like this headphone doesn't exist anymore. I'm just gonna be real pissed off, and I'll find out in the morning.
It'd be funny if it like paid for your food, like it was like total one Raycon earbud.
I'm like, well, if it's like, well, yeah, it's like $80 for these, so this headphone's $40, and the meal is $46. I got a bargain, I guess.
Yeah, really. I guess everything worked out. Did I have one coworker who gets like fucking 3 grilled cheese burritos from Taco Bell like every other day?
What the hell is a grilled cheese burrito?
They're these fucking. So it's not a grilled cheese like what you're thinking of, like the sandwich. It's basically just like a steak.
Yeah, I say I know that.
Well,
I'm a fat ass. I get it.
Well, that's what I thought. So I mean, but they're like these big fat ass burritos that have like steak cheese, these like little tortilla shell things in them. They're really good, but I can only eat fucking like one of them before I'm like full. Well, this motherfucker eats like 3.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So if you go to Taco Bell, get the grilled cheese burrito. They're pretty good. And make them put jalapenos in it, because then it tastes better. That's the best.
Well, then it's going to be blowing out my ass, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
hey,
well,
I'm going back to work on Monday. I'm just bleeding out my asshole.
That's the price you have to pay for a good ass grilled cheese burrito. But I swear, he like fucking single-handedly funds the shitty little Taco Bell here in the little shitty town I live in. So I'm saying they have like a fucking assembly line on the back just making like grilled cheese burritos. They're like
for this guy.
Yeah. But
is this an everyday thing for him?
No, it's like every other day. Like every other day he'll go fucking get one. I don't know.
Dear Lord, man, that is a lot. I don't know how your guts handle that, especially.
I don't know.
Does he work like the same department you do? Does he actually go out and do like?
No, he has the same job as me. He's a new hire.
Okay.
So.
Well, I didn't know if he was somebody that had to go like, all right, time to go put up a line on a fucking electric pole. I'm like, good Lord, don't stand underneath the guy.
Yeah, he's gonna shit his pants. Like fucking. I'm surprised he does it in his fucking little cubicle, just to, like blast a hole in the fucking office chair. Cause dude, like I said, when I have one, and I'm like, dude, I'm shitting like the next day, like all day.
Hey, look, I have like I saw this video. And I guess it's like cut up to be like a little bit of a meme, because a meme can be anything, I guess. And this dude goes, he had 2 toasters plugged in right next to him. And he goes, if I put a fork in each one, they cancel each other out. What? He's like streaming.
Yeah.
So he puts a fork in each one at the same time. He gets shot back. And you see a big brown stain in his pants. He goes, I think I shit my pants.
I think I remember either you showing me that or somebody showing me that.
Fucking It's so fucking stupid. He's just like it goes in slow motion. You see this big flash of light, like God showed up, and he's back on his bed, like he's like 4 feet back, and his legs go swinging up in the air, and you see this brown stain, and you just hear his voice go, "I think I just shut my." Where's
Nice.
Cody at? Is he still here? Or did he leave the call?
He's taking
I'm
a
still
nap.
here.
He's taking a nap.
Oh God.
All right.
Oh, Cody's like, I had to go take a shit, boys. Sorry.
There was our tangent, I guess. So I guess back
That's
to
one of
Fury
them.
Road. So I wanted to just ask, so we were all cognizant when this movie came out, and practically adults. Oh, here, I'm getting a call. I'm on call this week, so just give me 1 second, guys.
All right.
Okay.
Hello.
So, Cody.
Owen, you hear Owen's like, hello. It turns out that he's not really he doesn't really work for like a internet company or whatever. He's actually a hooker.
Like, hello, how are you?
Dude, so I said, like I said earlier, I was watching The Longest Yard yesterday, the Adam Sandler one. And that movie is still funny as shit. Like, oh man, I love it.
Is it funny because it's funny? Is it funny because you have the pro wrestlers in it too?
Oh, it's funny because it's funny, but because I love like the when Great Khali comes on to the team or whatever, and he gives a big boot to
Yeah.
Savowski or whatever his name is, and he's like, "Oh, he broke in my nose." Just oh man, I love
Dude, it was so fucking funny. Like, I thought, like, oh man, that guy should be a fucking wrestler. Like, I didn't know who the fuck he was.
it. Yeah,
And then he shows up like 3 years later on WWE television. I'm like, holy shit, that's the guy from The Longest Yard.
yeah, that was me back then. I was like, oh my god. Apparently, he did wrestle. He was a pro wrestler in India or whatever. But by the time he got to WWE, man, his body was already so broken down he could hardly really do anything. It's kind of like the Big Show.
Oh, you good there?
Turn my microphone back on. Yeah, I'm back. I just had to help out one of the guys with something. So
My penis. My
how many
penis got
times do
stuck
I
in the
whack it
door.
before it hurts?
what'd you say?
What'd you say, Lance?
What did Cody say? His is funnier.
I said, he's like, hey man, I got my penis stuck in the door again.
I think I heard both of you guys say penis. So
Oh yeah. Well, I was also thinking about that old meme you sent me. Like first couple months we started working together, Owen. And you sent me that meme that said instructions unclear, dick stuck in the fan. And I use that a lot. Like I talked about him before on this episode. I have a quality guy I work for. Like, I don't work for, but he's part of Train. And if you're not doing like your work properly, he has to be like, "Hey, this is wrong. You need to fix this or whatever." So I told him, I sent him a picture. I installed something purposely upside down. I go, "Hey, is this correct?" And he just sent me back a thumbs up. He goes, "It is correct." And then I told him later on, I thought about sending this to him, but I'm like, nah, because this is a company phone. So I just went up to him and was like, hey, man, I wanted to send this to you earlier. And I showed him the picture of the ceiling fan that said, instructions unclear, dick stuck in the fan.
That's funny. But what I was saying before, I had to get off and help somebody. So when this movie came out, we were all cognizant. We were all aware. I was 15 at the time, so I kind of had a taste. Yeah. It was probably bad taste, but I was excited for this movie because by this point in time, I'd already watched all the Mad Max movies except for half of Beyond Thunderdome because I refused to watch that shit.
I watched Mad Max Dome. That was it.
Yeah, I just watched Dome. Fuck the Thunder part. But so I was excited for when this movie was coming out because I was like, holy shit, dude, it's going to be like a cool Mad Max. And I remember seeing all the promotional stuff, and it was all this like because this was, I think, the era like just there's this big thing where people were like, we're so sick of CGI, and this movie has CGI, and we'll get to that, and I'll comment on it, but this what I remember was that this movie was coming out like
I don't remember CGI in this movie.
there is in the beginning during the Citadel part. I think it is really fucking ugly. I think it is like awful looking. like the concepts look really good, like the concept of the Citadel, but there's like scenes where and I'm specifically thinking of the one where Tom Hardy jumps out of this big hole and he grabs onto like the crane, and you can tell it's just like a fucking open door, like a door opening, and there's like a green screen all around it. Like the lighting is all fucked. And
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I remember that now. I didn't pay much attention to that part. I just thought it was like, what is he doing? He's gonna start swinging back and forth on this chain.
Yeah. It is kind of a goofy scene, isn't it? But that shit does not look good. And it's the same thing with Furiosa, because I've seen clips of Furiosa. I haven't watched it yet, but there are like scenes on Furiosa where I guess they used a lot more CGI in Furiosa, maybe budgetary concerns or something like that. But they look really bad. Like they look like they were done on like by like a YouTuber with After Effects. Like they look like ass. And this one kind of has some of that too. But anyways, when this was coming out, I remember it being kind of like the beginning or kind of during the era where everybody was like, we need more practical effects in movies, dude. Fuck all this CGI shit. And, I kind of had that sentiment too. I was like, dude, practical effects rock. So when this movie was coming out and I saw that they had like actually built these cars and all this shit was like actual stunts and stuff, I was like, dude, this fucking rocks. It's going to be like just as good as like, the Road Warrior with its effects. So I remember being really excited, and I had watched this when it came out. I think on like pay-per-view or some shit. And I remember being really impressed. I fucking like was actually happy with this movie as a youngin.
I just thought like it's funny. Like Owen was like, I went to go see it in the theater. Like, no, I saw it on pay-per-view when John Cena faced Batista.
Yeah, I was. It was like DirecTV pay-per-view because like fucking we lived in that shitty little town that has no theater or anything. Like the closest theater was like an hour away in Clarksville, so that's why we had to watch our new movies.
Was what town do you live in? Nutbush?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a bird.
I'm on Nut and her bush.
If you know what I mean. But I wanted to see kind of, if you guys were kind of aware of this movie when it was coming out. I know you guys don't really have any prior experience with Mad Max or anything, but I just wanted to kind of hear, what you guys thought. I guess we'll go in alphabetical order. I'll start with Cody.
So yeah, I was aware of it, but I didn't really have any interest in seeing it at the time. But the reason I was aware of it is because I was interested in playing the game that was coming out, and they were kind of like marketing both of them or whatever. Uh-huh. So, but yeah, I mean, I was aware of it. I just never really had an interest in watching it.
I see.
When did this movie come out? It was 2015. What month?
It was like May. It was May 15th.
May, okay. So I had a stretch in time. Well,
that's a loss.
I had a really bad stretch in time. You what?
That's lost. The year between 2013 and 2017, I just can't remember a thing. Man, got hit on the head with a hammer that fell off a shelf and blacked out.
No, I remember like when it's football related, I remember all that because this is when the Chiefs started winning was 2013. But 2015, there's a stretch at the end of 2015 and in 2016 where I was revisiting a chapter in my life that ended poorly and it ended poorly again because
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So I was kind of thinking like, I remember this movie coming out. I do not like. I had no interest in Mad Max. I think I tried to watch The Road Warrior one time, but it wasn't something in my wheelhouse. My dad's not a big movie goer unless, hey, let's go see a spectacle. Like, yeah, let's go watch Godzilla vs. Kong or Mortal Kombat or something. But
or the man who stared at
it's one of those things like seeing the preview for it. It's kind of like this could be something I could watch later on. But I just didn't have any interest because I didn't care about Mad Max, and I didn't realize that Tom Hardy was the guy who played Bane in Dark Knight Rises at this point, which has come out 3 years prior. So I did not think about that. I didn't be like I thought he was really good as an actor. I don't go watch a lot of Tom Hardy movies. I don't have a lawyer. I'm not loyal to a certain movie star that I want to go see all his movies. Like Cody is like Johnny Depp, or like most people were like Harrison Ford or John Wayne or Clint
John
Eastwood. I don't
Cena.
have anything like that. Or his name was John Cena.
What's that shitty ass WWE movie John Cena was in? The fucking Jarhead or
The Marine.
The Marine, motherfucker. That movie is fucking. That movie's something
most
else.
most WWE films were fucking garbage, except for See No Evil. See No Evil is like decent.
What about
Yeah, that wasn't that bad.
You know how they did the? Did you know that WWE bought out what's that fucking movie called? Surf's Up. Like they bought the rights to that and they made like a sequel, and it's like the most weirdest shit ever because it's like the same characters from the first one. They're all surfing and shit, but it just has like WWE like fucking wrestlers as penguins in it for no reason.
I don't even know what Surf's Up is.
Yeah,
You
they
don't-
got Undertaker.
okay.
They got Vince McMahon and shit.
Yeah, they have Vince McMahon, and he's like a fucking otter and shit. Well, Surf's Up. So what Surf's Up is like it was an animated movie in like fucking 2007. So I guess that probably would be like, outside of your kind of era of watching animated children's films.
Well, Owen, Cody sees everything Disney because his wife is the Disney fanatic, and they were together then. So.
Well, no, we started dating at the end of 2007, but around that time, like I think I was still watching animated films, but it would have been more like I don't know when that
films.
when that Ninja Turtle movie came out. Maybe
When
that Ninja Turtle movie was like 08 or 09.
No, it was 06.
Yeah.
Was it 06?
No, that was like 06, 07. Because I was in that middle of that really bad chapter in my life still, and I saw it with her.
So yeah,
so I
like
remember that movie being excited.
Yeah, and like the Shrek sequels, I think, were still coming out around that time, so I would watch those. But like, yeah, I wasn't.
Do the roar.
I think I had
Do the
you
roar.
mentioning like surfing penguins and shit. Like, gives me like vague memories of what Surf's Up was, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
It has that one fucking song. Whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there.
Real quick, because like I've talked about this the other day a couple of times. Owen knows who I want to talk about. Anthony. He would do this shit where he would just go be like, "Do the roar." I've never seen any of the Shrek sequels. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Do
Do the roar. Do the roar. And then I'm like, Anthony, what the fuck are you talking about? And he would just stare at me and go, "I love you, Daddy."
Yeah,
Stupid.
What?
do the roar.
I don't even
It's like
remember
Shrek
that
4 or
shit.
something.
What's
It was
that?
from I think it was from Shrek Forever After, because it's like the birthday party thing that they're doing at the beginning for his kids.
Is that the fourth
And-
or the third one?
Yeah.
The fourth one, and there's like this
Okay.
little weirdo looking kid that looks like a grown man, but he's a child. He's like, do the roar, do the roar. He's like, I love you, Daddy.
See,
Because
I never watched that shit.
I didn't watch it either, but it's he goes do the roar, and then his dad's like, why don't you just do the roar for the kid? It's fine. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, eventually he gets pissed off and just goes, the shit, and then the kid pulls his dad down by his shirt and goes, I love you, Daddy.
I love you, Daddy.
It's stupid. But going into animated films, Happy Feet came out, and this is George Miller, so we're back to Matt.
We're back to the penguins. Fuck yeah. I never watched Shrek past Shrek 2 because Shrek 3, like, fucking... I watched, like, the first quarter of it, and I was like, this sucks.
I mean, I remember Shrek.
The
I remember
fucking kids
Shrek 3 being
show up,
okay.
and I fucking lost it.
Shrek 3 was okay. Shrek 4 was like really like not good. The only good thing about Shrek 4 is like there's like this weird alternate timeline, and Puss in Boots was like a fat house cat. So like the bits they would do with him being a fat cat, like he's on like a cat tree and he's like slowly like he's like got his claws on the tree and he's like slowly sliding down. It's just shit like that. It's like real funny. But other than the Puss in Boots
real
stuff,
quick
it wasn't
question.
really good. Yeah.
Real quick question for Owen,
Yeah.
or for you guys. Okay, so eventually, we're covering Friday the 13th, and we're going to have to get to part 6, which is my favorite one. Well, the tagline in that movie is "Jason lives," so for sure Jason's going to be in this movie. Well, in this movie, Mad Max Fury Road, they should have put down as a tagline, "No kids." Just so the people came back from Mad Max 3 just knew, oh, those brats aren't showing back up. We're good.
Well, they have those kids at the end, but that's it. Oh, and they, my favorite
What's
part?
kids at the end?
The war pups or whatever, the little kids.
Yeah, they're surrounding Rictus the Flictus
Oh, yeah.
or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Rictus Bean
He
Flictus.
said the Flictus. He said the Flictus.
My favorite part in this movie was the ladies with the udder milkers on their fat titties. Well,
Oh,
part
Oh
was-
my God,
That was
man,
so
that scene
disturbing.
showed up. I looked at my girlfriend and go, "You gonna say something?"
I said you tonight.
Oh, that's so disturbing. There's just something about like film and like characters dealing with like human breast milk and stuff that's just like off-putting to me. And
I think it's delicious.
He was drinking. He goes, "Oh, it's good."
that's I want some more. That
Yeah.
that's it's like one of the things like
This is like he drinks and he goes, "I love you, Daddy."
I love you, Daddy.
that's like the thing that like Homelander drinks like breast milk in The Boys, and it's like so fucking disturbing. And then they put that intro in Mortal Kombat 1 where he like takes a bottle of milk up to his mouth and he's like tonguing it before he drinks. I was like, oh my god, it just makes me sick.
That's awesome.
Oh my God!
I don't have a problem with that, but I do get weirdly uncomfortable during birthing scenes in movies.
What about when a dying woman has her
Owen, do that
stomach cut
again.
open?
Do what again?
No, you just said really, but didn't pronounce R. You go willy.
I got
I'm really uncomfortable with the.
I get really uncomfortable. What was that? I get willy.
All of a sudden, fucking
What about,
Owen turns into fucking Elmer Fudd.
what about scenes where a woman's dying and the baby is cut out of her as
No,
she's dying?
those make me horny actually.
Oh.
I like it. I thought she was still alive.
Well,
That's
she
why
was-
Warren Joe was holding her.
She was still alive.
But
That-
they didn't
the-
show her getting killed after they take the baby out of her.
Oh, she's dead at that point, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but the
she-
woman, the woman who's like nursing her or whatever says something about her breathing.
No, it's a guy.
or-
It's the organic.
Oh yeah, it says something about her breathing or her heart or something, and then Indominus Rex says to cut out the child or whatever before she does die.
Those rigs.
But then the baby's dead, so. And he was perfect.
These names that these characters have, these names these fuckers got, it's like if George Lucas was Australian and had less creativity, these are the names he'd come up with. Just I
Didn't he
will say
come-
about George Lucas.
Didn't he fucking want
He
Darth
came.
Icky? Didn't he come?
Yeah, Darth Icky. I love this story. Darth Icky is what he wanted to call Starkiller from The Force Unleashed, because the developers wanted to make it to where the story would play out to where like Starkiller would become a Darth or whatever at the end, but they had to run all the creative decisions through Lucas, and Lucas had to give him the name or whatever. So like literally the name he gave them was Darth Icky. So they're just we're not going to do that storyline. Then we'll change it a little bit.
That shit is just funny. Like I never would forget Cody telling me that. He goes, "He's gonna be named Darth Icky." Like, what the fuck? Are they kidding? Is he fucking with us?
Darth Poopy.
Has anybody watched the Acolyte show yet?
The what?
The Acolyte show,
I don't know.
the Star Wars show. Star Wars.
Oh yeah. What's it about again?
Evidently it's a bad Star Wars show that's worse than Book of Boba Fett. So, it's supposed to be like the High Republic, I think.
Yeah.
And
Can y'all hear me?
yeah, it's just
Yes, we can.
yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I had to plug in some headphones because my AirPods died.
Do you not charge your AirPods?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a little case or whatever, but when we're recording, they only last like a couple of hours before they die, and we've already been on the call for like 2 hours.
I'm like, we've been on the line.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta cover that fucking movie, The Internship. It's the Owen Wilson, Vince Vaughn comedy movie. I think it's The Internship. And Owen Wilson's talking about being online, but he calls it On the Line.
You need
Oh
to
yeah,
So
on
and
the
then
line, bro.
they keep they keep correcting him. It's like it's online. He goes, yes, exactly, on the line, like online.
No, every time I think of Owen Wilson, I think about how he tried to kill himself that one time.
What?
Owen Wilson tried to kill himself.
I didn't know.
him
I
and
didn't know.
what is that chick's name? She's dated a bunch of people in Hollywood. She's an actress. Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore broke up with him. He tried to commit suicide.
Huh. Speaking of Vince Vaughn movies, we should do Psycho. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, the remake.
Nah, I'm okay. I appreciate the offer, man, but no. I've watched that movie twice. I was like, you know what? This movie's not bad. It's in color. I'm like, golly damn, I can't rewatch it. This just sucks. Vince Vaughn does not pull off Anthony Perkins. I'm waiting for him to crack a joke.
What about when he's jerking it when he's looking at
I didn't understand that from watching the first one, and I'm like, well, I had seen that one first. I hadn't seen the original Psycho. And then I watched Psycho 2, and I was like, is he supposed to be jerking off here or what? I don't know. It was really confusing.
Well, see, in the first one, in the original one, they don't really imply that, right? They just show that he's peeping. But then
he's not jerking off in any of the movies.
In the remake, he's like you can hear his like slapping sounds whenever he's doing it.
Yeah, well, see, the thing was, in my mind, I associated. I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
Excuse me. No, in the first movie, in that remake movie when he's whacking it, I was really confused because I was also conflating in my mind. There's something about Mary when he comes out of the bathroom, it's hanging off his ear.
Mm.
And I'm like, why is it hanging off his ear? Isn't that what happens all the time? I mean, I'm like 10 years old at the time. I hadn't started doing that yet. I didn't know. So
And maybe it's also that the names are close. Mary, Marion.
Oh, Lord.
Marion Crane.
Wait, he beats his beat in the Psycho remake?
Hey, guys, you still there?
When he's staring at her, like when she's taking a shower and he's like looking through the hole in the wall, he's like sitting there fucking jerking it. But the thing is, in the remake, you can hear like the fucking
sorry.
like
I'm in the middle of recording.
sounds.
No, you're good.
Off.
No, you're good. Is everything okay?
But obviously, in like the '60s or whatever, when the original Psycho was made, that would have probably not
I'll
been
let you
allowed
I'll call you
anyway.
later, okay?
But it wasn't. The sounds aren't in it, so it's just him like staring at her through the hole in the wall.
They should keep remaking Psycho and making it exactly the same, but just changing that one scene to like. So in the next remake, it's like fucking you just like it's the same. It's shot the same way, but you hear like before it pans to him in there like being his meat. You hear like a.
you know, it cuts to him and you see his like he's got one foot up on the filing cabinet next to him, and he's just butt ass naked.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry. What are you guys laughing at?
I'm laughing at two things: the joke we just made, and I just scrolled past a video, and it's a dude at Planet Fitness with like a squat rack, and he has like the rope tied around his neck, and he's like fucking pulling it down with his neck, and the caption
Lord.
the caption says 5 sets of Chris Benoit at Planet Fitness.
Oh no, that's pretty good. No, sorry, my dad called and I answered, so that's gonna be on my recording. But I'm like, it completely cut you guys out when I wasn't trying to answer.
So
his call.
I made it.
What the
We were
fuck?
talking about how they should keep making Psycho and like changing that scene where he's jerking off or whatever, or looking at her through the hole in the wall. And I said that the next time it should be like it cuts to him in that room and he's got one foot up on the filing cabinet next to him and just completely butt naked while he's jerking it.
But everything else is exactly the same, just that one scene.
And then he jizzes on his ear.
Yeah. But this time, yeah, he nuts all over his own face this time.
Oh, God.
He's like, oh.
He goes, ah! It's like a fucking water fountain. It shoots him back against the wall.
And he just never wipes it off for the rest of the film.
He just has nut all over his face the whole movie.
Now, Norman, are you all right?
He's like,
It looks like you got nut on your face.
You got
mother.
He's like, you got a little. He's like, what?
Just caked on.
He's like, what?
It's like
Do I gotta?
it's so much of it, and it's so dry that it's like cracking every time he speaks.
He's like, what? Is there like a zit? Do I got like a booger or something? Like, what's going on?
Oh man. Anyway.
All right, let's get to Mad Max real quick. Let's go ahead and hit some highlights in the fucking plot, because to be quite honest with you, there's not a lot of plot.
No, not really.
No, I mean the plot in general is just Furiosa, indomitable man has a bunch of like women that he tries to breed, or because
No, he doesn't try, baby. He's doing it.
Yeah, he's essentially raping them because he wants like a normal child to be born, a son, and Furiosa has smuggled them out of the Citadel and is trying to get them to the Green Place, which is the place where she was born and where she was kidnapped from as a child. And she's like, I don't know what she is in his army or whatever you want to call it, but she's someone that's well respected.
Yeah, she's like imperator, I guess some kind of officer or some shit like that.
Yeah, so she's very well respected, right? And then she's smuggling them across the desert to the Green Place.
Well, Cody, she's a woman, so how respected is she?
Yeah. Well, we could see more about her backstory in the new hit movie Furiosa, a Mad Max saga.
I mean, after watching this, I'm definitely gonna watch.
Yeah,
Furiosa when it comes to Max.
I do want to watch it. Yeah, me too. But we'll see how it goes.
But yeah, do you want to do this? Do you want to take away the plot, or do you want to just finish? We'll finish.
I mean, you've already basically halfway through. I mean, just what happens next is, he's sending her on a what appears to be some kind of supply run to Gastown, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Gastown.
And that's one of
that's one of the elements from the game. Mm-hmm. Gastown is in the game. So yeah,
Gastown's in the game, which you don't see here. They mentioned the bullet farm in the game too. But yeah, that's one of the things I do like about this movie. I like how there's like, all these. Just watching this movie, it's so. Just even seeing the weird shit that they do, like, and like all the weird little locations and stuff is really fun. But anyway, yeah. So they're making a supply run to Gastown. So she smuggles. Yeah, they're called the wives, because they don't want to be his wife. They don't want to be Joe's wife anymore. So she smuggles them, then she takes a detour and like takes the whole war rig and goes to try and find the Greenland. That starts a chase between her and Immortan Joe, who realizes that she's running away with the wives. So therefore, big war bands from the Citadel, Gastown, and the Bullet Farm chase our characters on their big war rig, which is basically a souped up semi, and battle happens. I guess we never explained how Max gets caught. Max just gets caught and is fucking which I remember I always had an issue with this, and I know it's not a big deal, but I don't know, they kind of make Max like sort of a bitch in this one, kind of like how they do in Beyond Thunderdome. You know what I mean?
At least to start off with.
Yeah, he kind of reclaims his badassery, I guess. But he's like being used as like a living blood bag, for one of these soldiers in Immortan Joe's army. I guess for some reason, as they get older, they like degrade, like, and their health degrades or something like that, and they need like these blood bags for some reason.
My assumption was he had some kind of cancer or something, because later on, he shows the one woman, he shows her the two like lumps on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. So I I just kind of assumed that he has cancer and like the blood transplant or something was just their way of trying to, I don't know, help or whatever.
Yeah. However that's supposed to work, I guess. But anyways, that's how Max gets involved in this plot. Is he gets captured and used as a blood bag for this guy, and that leads him onto this adventure with all these other characters. And of course, he has to be not really convinced necessarily, but basically forced to help them out. So that's how he gets involved. And so he's kind of like, in similar vein to Mad Max 2, where he's sort of the guy leading the, truck of gasoline. He's leading this truck of people, which, as I understand, was like one of the preliminary plot points that George Miller wanted for this movie. It was like, well, what if they were, instead of like gas or water was the resource, what if it was people? So that's how that came to be. So they do that. Hilarity ensues. Mad Max's guy he's given blood to turns into New Leaf and joins the gang. He's actually I like his character. I think he's a really cool part.
What is he? He's so obsessed with Mormon Joe, and then he says Joe saw his blood bag, so he just assumes or associates. I don't know. He just assumes that Joe is not gonna take him back now.
Well, I think it's because, it's because his blood bag, as he puts it, was able to escape and is now fucking up their people. So it's he can't even control that one person. So what makes him worthy of?
Nux's thing was he fucks up 3 times, and the third time he fucks up he does it right in front of his God.
He does it right in front of Beautiful Joe.
Yeah, Beautiful Joe for the GameCube. And he gets all depressed and shit, and one of the wives has to convince him not to want to kill himself, basically. And that's how he gets turned over onto their side. So that happens. They have all the big action sequences. Eventually, all the big bad guys get killed. Well, actually, before that, they end up to where they thought the green place was, but it turns out the green place doesn't exist anymore. It's a shitty hell.
Yeah, I think they show it, right? Is it when they're driving through at night and you see that area where the people are walking around on stilts?
Yeah.
That's where the green place used to be, I think.
Yeah, but I guess through fallout and radiation and shit, it got poisoned or something.
Yeah, because they said something the water. The older women were say something the water became dirty, and then the crows came, and the green place was gone.
That's a funny part of it too, is because we have these older women, and they kind of talk like all the other characters, but it's hey, you're older than Max, so you had to.
You were alive before this shit ever happened.
Yeah, it's so you had to have mostly a normal life,
Yeah.
I don't know. But after that, they have there's a big duel, and all the major bad guys die. Nux dies in a self-sacrifice, and so they make a plan before that, actually, to go back to the Citadel, because it's the only place that kind of has water and life to it. And because almost all of the actual army is out hunting them. And so once they've taken care of all of them, they decide, they get there, they arrive, they open the big water gates, and all the little troglodyte people drink all their water, and everybody's happy. And then Max slips away and fucks off. Continues his journey of being basically the man with no name.
It's I'm walking around in this world full of mutants.
Yeah. There you go. That's the plot to Fury Road. You can write the whole plot on a napkin, I think. So.
Yeah. It's like Lance was saying earlier. This isn't really a type of movie that is meant to really grab you based on the storytelling. It's more about the visuals and everything, and the visuals in this are just awesome.
Yeah, it's a spectacle entirely.
Yeah, I love the color choices. Like in the day, like everything's kind of orange, and then at night it's like very blue. When they approach the sandstorm, like in the first
That was
half
a
of
dope
the movie.
scene.
Oh yeah, just the sight of it is just like you see like the lightning flashes and stuff from inside of it as it's like slowly billowing and everything.
Yeah, they really give the impression that it's like, you know, just the way the actors act and everything. It definitely has the impression of it being this just fucked up, like, you know, sand twister. So yeah, it's all really cool. Even the visuals, you know, I was complaining earlier about the CGI. You know, besides that one scene, really, where they're kind of like with the crane handle, I think a lot of the designs that they did with the CGI, it was worth it because like a lot of it looks really cool.
Yeah, the only CGI scene part that really like seemed a little bit corny to me was at the end when there's the big crash or whatever. You know, they destroy the vehicle that has like the guitar and the drums on it, and like the guitar kind of does like this weird like, oh, you're watching a 3D movie sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where it like stretches toward the camera, and it's like I don't think that was really necessary, but.
Yeah, and all the parts come off in it, and you can tell it's just CGI.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some stinkers in it, but thankfully they didn't rely too much on it in here, and where they do, it's kind of understandable.
Yeah.
So it's not really all that distracting. You know, that whole sequence, we never talked about the guitar guy. That's such a funny...
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
Yeah, that shit kind of rocked.
Like he's just playing all the time. It's like, man, his fingers got to be killing him.
Yeah, I like how they incorporated it into the soundtrack. You know, whenever they need the like guitar stingers or like the war drums and shit, they always have like that vehicle in the shot, or he's somewhere nearby.
And little did you know that guitarist was Mick Gordon. No, that's a joke. That's not Mick Gordon.
It's somebody. It's some like Australian musician. I think he was like actually playing, from what I recall.
Yeah, I doubt it's Mick. I mean, it could be, but I doubt it. Mick Gordon is a little bit harder than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was probably like I don't know, the lead singer of Creed, Scott Stapp.
Can you take me higher?
That would be awesome.
Place that's green all day.
Real quick, supposedly I'm looking at the Mad Max wiki. This movie takes place 50 years after the apocalypse. So I guess the
50?
apocalypse.
So
50.
Max is like fucking. He's actually like 90 years old. He just sees himself as a young guy.
Yeah. This whole time, like this movie is from his point of view. He's this big badass. Really, everybody's just carrying him around this whole movie.
Yeah.
He keeps shitting himself. He can't walk.
Yeah, he's like in a diaper, just shitting his pants. Like in his eyes, everybody's like scared of him and like needs him, but he's like fucking dead weight.
So the guitarist is portrayed by Australian musician Iota, and his name in the movie is Coma Doof Warrior, also known as the Doof Warrior, and he's blind as well.
Okay.
Which I didn't pick up on that there in the movie, but this dude is just like playing like nonstop. Even when they're camping for like a couple hours, and they're like waiting, he's still out there just.
Yeah, it's such a cool visual. The flaming guitar that was in a lot of the promotional stuff, and I remember being like, everybody was like, dude, that's fucking radical.
Yeah, that's like the one thing I remember from like the trailers and stuff was the guitar vehicle that's like fucking 2 stories high. It's like, man, this is
yeah,
doesn't seem like a very efficient vehicle.
Yeah, and it's cool though that they're all practical like they're all created vehicles. Every vehicle is like a real, you know, car that they built. So
the spiked vehicles, like the spiked buggies or whatever, those like actually seem pretty practical as far as like being in that world, especially with how many times you see people like jump onto other people's vehicles. It's like, yeah, you're not jumping onto that.
Yeah, the
like,
buzzard guys. It's just like the game. They have the same like factions and shit, and they use like the same kind of cars. This might make me.
That shit was pretty cool. That the spiky car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know they spoke. I guess do they speak Russian in the game? I mean, you don't really fight them that much in the game, but I don't remember.
I can't remember. I will say one element I wish that they would do in the movies that the game had was the mechanic that Max meets.
Cum bucket.
Where he's like, yeah, he basically like building cars is like a religion to him, and like he worships like machines or whatever. It's like such a cool concept for that world.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've ever really touched on it in the films.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe in the next Mad Max movie.
Yeah, if it gets made.
Yeah, if it does.
It's not gonna get made.
It might be.
I mean, it could.
Well,
in
the
20
thing is,
years, we'll get one.
It could be that Warner Brothers looks at it and they're like, oh, well, maybe this just didn't do well because it's Furiosa and not like Mad Max or whatever. But
Well, here's the thing though, like they've been talking about, because Furiosa is a prequel, so they're talking about he wanted to make another movie. He has a rough outline of called The Wasteland.
Yeah.
And that's a prequel movie with Max.
Yeah.
And that was when the movie was about to be released, and now a month later, Tom Hardy is doing media for this movie he's doing called Bike Riders, where it's a motorcycle gang or whatever. And they asked him about, are you going to be a part of The Wasteland? And Tom Hardy just flat out said, I don't think that's getting made anymore.
Well, I thought I had read that Tom Hardy wasn't even being considered for Max in that one anyway.
Oh, he signed on for a 3-movie deal to be Max when he did this movie.
You know, Warner Brothers, they probably threw that shit in the garbage, you know. But
No, I know, but I mean, it's one of those things. Like I think, and George Miller, they asked him, was like, "Will Tom Hardy be a part of The Wasteland?" And he goes, "If everything works out, yes." He wanted Tom Hardy back for it.
Yeah. Let's make a prequel movie
But
with Tom Hardy
it's
over 10 years after we made Fury Road. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, he doesn't look much young. He looks about the same age, to be honest with you.
They should get Heath Ledger back.
Like, yeah, she's like, let me tell you how I got these scars.
Apparently, he was considered for Mad Max.
I'm the Joker, baby.
Yeah, the Joker baby.
Yeah, back
I'm
in
the
like the
Joker,
mid-2000s when it was still fucking in development.
Yeah, it was like, back when
And he was still alive?
Apparently,
Yeah.
Eminem. I read somewhere that Eminem was fucking like considered, which sounds completely ridiculous.
That just sounds like something that 8 Mile came out and they're like, oh man, Eminem, maybe he can be Mad Max. And like it never like went to Eminem.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just completely silly.
Could you imagine? Oh, he just starts busting out in a rap instead of kicking somebody's ass.
Yeah. He's like, lose yourself in the music. He fucking roasts
According to
somebody.
Collider.com, when George Miller was casting Mad Max Fury Road, his first choice actor to play Max was Eminem, who only turned down the role because he didn't want to leave his home state. which sounds exactly like Eminem. He's just like, fuck that, I'm not leaving. I don't want to leave my house.
Thank God he didn't. That sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would that have killed Eminem's music career, though, if he had done this movie and it sucked?
He would have said, lose yourself.
Eminem, like, was a good actor in 8 Mile because he was playing Eminem. Like, I mean, that's, like, what he was. It doesn't make sense to, like, do him for something else.
Like, before he, like, holds his gun up,
You're
he's like,
Australian now. Be Australian.
he says, that's an awfully hot coffee pot.
I will say this. I know it's not make or break for you, though. I think Tom Hardy did really good as Max.
Oh, I think he did,
like,
too.
it was believable.
I just wish his voice accent choice or whatever was a little bit clearer.
I thought he was serviceable, but I mean, he didn't wow me or anything. He was okay.
I mean, Owen and I were talking
what
about
did
this.
wow you, Cody? Not Cody, Owen.
You said it
Owen
did
and I
wow me, or what did you say?
No. What did wow you? Was it the big fat titties in this movie?
Yeah, no, that made me open my fucking mouth open wide, and I said, "Oh my god!"
Well, no, hey,
I did the.
no, when that scene first popped up, I know we talked about it. When I first saw that scene, though, I looked. I'm like, "Are those titties?" And then they scanned to the second woman, and they look more like a fat guy's titties. I'm like, "Those aren't titties." And I saw the next one. I'm like, "Oh wait, those are titties." Okay, so like the first one had me at least thinking, like, "Wait, are those titties?" The second one goes, "No, they're not." And then the third one goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, they are. They're milking them. I get it."
Yeah.
So,
I said, "I love this world. I just wish I was in it."
what? Why is it Immortal Joe fucking the fat chicks? Why is he just fucking the skinny chicks?
Maybe he does all of them. You don't know.
Owen and I were talking about this before we started recording, but this is almost more of a Furiosa movie than it is a Mad Max movie anyway.
Yeah. I think that's the reason why I want to hate this movie is because like I feel like this movie may have convinced like Warner Brothers and all the producers and shit that we could make a Furiosa movie like without Max.
I mean, Furiosa's a great character.
Yeah.
But I just, and again, I believe
it took him 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that Furiosa, the prequel film, is probably a really good film. I just don't think it was the right film to like get people to go to the theater and see it. You know, like especially after maybe if they would have had like
to Morbius.
Yeah, maybe if they would have had like another one or two like Mad Max films in between now and then. But the fact that it took so long, and it's like, well, people have been waiting all this time. They want to see another Mad Max, not Furiosa.
You cannot let a franchise sit on the shelf for almost 10 fucking years and then release a movie that's a prequel movie.
Can't let it sit on the shelf like Legolas.
Yeah. What?
I said you can't let it sit on the shelf like Legolas because he's an elf. Elf on the shelf.
Oh. Gotcha,
Legolas is an elf from Lord of the Rings.
Legolas.
I've never seen Lord of the Rings, Cody. We talked about that lesser franchise, and I'll never watch it. So
they should have done a prequel movie about immortal Joe Pesci.
Okay.
They should have done. They should have.
They should have done
it's like,
Immortal Joe
Pesci
Biden.
Shows up. He's like, "What the fuck you looking at?"
Yeah, and have Joe Biden actually be in. It's like, how is this a prequel? This dude like looks like he just came up out of a fucking cemetery.
He's like, look, man, what's it saying? You and I.
Listen here, fat.
He's like, look here, fat. Come on.
They should have done a prequel movie of like Star Wars that potentially talked about Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi when they were younger.
Yeah.
And, wait, they did do that. Never mind.
They should have done a prequel movie of this where they talk about trade embargoes in the wasteland.
Yeah, they have like the sequel. The sequel to that, they should have the Twin Wars, where it's just a bunch of, fucking characterless people fighting robots. That would be very fun.
What we should do here, though, think about this. I want a movie that explains the symbiotic relationship between Gastown and Immortal Joe's place. That's what I want to know. I want to know, like, how the money's exchanged, who's holding what hostage, who controls what. I just got to know.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see, did y'all notice when, I guess it's the fat guy that's in charge of Gastown, when Max is in the car with him and he puts his big fucking diabetic leg on the gas pedal and then Max jumps out the car?
Yeah.
That was pretty disturbing. I ain't gonna lie.
I liked his.
I didn't catch that.
I liked his suit with the nipple holes.
So
did he have a suit? I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah, he was wearing a suit and he had the holes cut out where his nipples were, and then he had a chain on his.
So they don't chafe.
Yeah.
It's hot and dry out there.
Hey, is any of the characters in this movie other than his kids? I thought one of these characters may have been Immortal Joe's brother or something like that.
I think the only relatives that we hear about is just Immortal Joe and the two sons, right?
Yeah, it's just him and his children living and unborn.
Yeah.
Well, my bad.
And it is awesome. It is awesome later on when Furiosa does rip Cabal's face off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is Cabal.
I think that's it for all my jokey comparisons and shit for him.
Did we mention Quan Chi when we were actually recording? Quan Chi fucking
No,
mad.
I don't think we did.
Fucking Max.
Yeah.
I was looking at image earlier and I was like, damn, dude, that's such a good still.
Yeah, Owen sent us that picture, that still of one of the what are they called?
War Boys. One of the War Boys. It's when they're moving him from the front of the buggy to the back before I don't remember when, but that's what they're doing. And the way that's pictured, the guy in the back who's moving him is has this big smile on his face, and Max looks really worried. He's looking behind him.
And I made a joke like because I hadn't seen the movie yet. I was like, spoiler alert. I didn't know Mortal Kombat or Max was sodomized by Mortal Kombat 4 Quan Chi in this film.
Quan Chi. Man, I gotta piss.
That was pretty good.
All right, we can. I don't know if y'all have anything else to say about this or not, but
Nah,
we can
we'll
wrap
go
it up.
piss.
I liked it. That's really all I can say. Despite me not wanting to like it because I'm grumpy, I did like it.
Yeah, I think this is like definitely easily the best in the franchise, and it's like one of the best movies I've ever seen. I mean, I just was that impressed with it watching it.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Visually with this movie, it's fucking beautiful, and like I wasn't paying much attention to any of the CGI. Like if I rewatched it and was paying attention, yeah, maybe I'd be able to spot it. But I really think this movie was well made. There was over I want to say, hold on, the editing. There was 480 hours of footage to edit. And
Ooh.
Miller got his wife to edit the movie, and the film contains 2,700 cuts in 120 minutes, and it took her 3 months to watch all of the fucking footage. And according to the cinematographer, he says something like 50 or 60% of the film is not running at 24 frames a second, which is the traditional frame rate. It'll be running below 24 frames because George, if he couldn't understand what was happening in the shot, he slowed it down until you could. Or if it was too well understood, he shortened it up or speeded it up backwards 24. His manipulation of every shot in that movie is intense. So, yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I'd definitely recommend it though.
Oh yeah, me too, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to watch any of those movies. But if I was being an asshole, I would say you would just need to watch the Thunderdome movie.
I'm about to sit down again. All right. Fucking had to drain the main vein.
Drain the mud vein.
But yeah, I guess.
So he's in the can draining his lizard.
Yeah, that's really just my closing thoughts. Is like, dude, this movie, it's such a great spectacle. There's so much going on with it, but it's like really, it's not overly complex. The effects are great. The practical effects are great. And you know, the world that is captured in this movie is just really interesting. It's just fun to watch. I think it's a great movie. So, I guess we can get into our final recommendations, unless you guys have anything to add, or if you guys want to talk about anything else.
While you were peeing, we said we're not going to recommend this movie because we're shills.
I had my headphones on.
You know, we're shills for
The whole time I was pissing,
okay.
so.
Yeah, so we
heard us?
Yeah, so I heard every word.
Oh.
so yeah,
no.
Actually, I was getting
We do.
kind of, a little harder, with my wiener in my hands.
I can feel the pulsating of my bladder draining as I'm holding my dick. But I heard you guys announce your love for each other.
Yeah.
And it was a sweet moment.
I got even harder, yeah. I didn't even think it could happen.
So yeah, I do recommend this, as I've already said.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the guy that's like, nah, it could be better. No, this is one of the few movies that we're all in unison on. This is a great movie.
Yeah.
Lance,
Lance?
you cut out. The fucking
Lance?
candle jack took his ass.
Lance. Dun, 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 dun.
He really do be gone. Runs. Well, what? So let me just finish his thoughts. This movie fucking sucked. And
Fury Road.
yeah, Fury Road, more like Fury Chode. Snake, have you ever watched Fury Road? No.
Fury Road?
Fury Road. Yes, it's a 2015 George Miller Australian film about a character named Max. He kind of reminds me of you, Snake.
I'll have to check it out after I get that number. Just, he's like a pervert in like the first few games.
Yeah. No, in MGS3, he's just like stupid. Like, I don't know. He's like, he's like, you're trying to fuck me? What? He's like, I love the boss, but I don't actually like love her.
What is a patriot?
He's like, penis. Must be pretty tasty.
Sniper? Who do we send out to the jungle?
Who do we what?
Who do we send out to the jungle? It's like that's just their response to him asking so many stupid questions. Like, what's a sniper?
Yeah, he's no idea. Camouflage. He's
face paint.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck's happening to my phone. Every time somebody calls me, I lose you guys.
You said
lose yourself.
Dude, Eminem's back, baby.
And it's better than ever.
Guess who's back?
Back again.
Houdini.
Back again.
Go listen to Houdini, everybody, by Eminem.
Hell yeah. New
Dude,
record.
Fucking Savannah's son Riley is obsessed with that song. And then they didn't realize the abracadabra part is from an actual song called Abracadabra. I'm like, yeah, this was in that movie, Incredible Burt Wonderstone.
Oh, is it the fucking Steve Miller Band song? Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Abracadabra. I'm about to reach you in my bag, bro.
I'm about to step out and fuck you.
I actually dig it. I know, like, people on the internet, some people are like, oh my god. Well, of course, a lot of Gen Z is like, cancel him. But, like,
that's the beam, yeah.
Which is so funny because the song, like, literally calls out, like, it's like, yeah, people are about to start acting like Girl Scouts or whatever. But it's very much like Slim Shady style Eminem, you know. So, but anyway, let's talk about
the world we live in.
Let's talk about the next movie we're doing. So, I think on the last episode, I may have said that we were going to do Hereditary, but I decided...
I may have said, but you misheard me. I said we're watching Blue's Clues.
Yeah, Blue's Clues. Blue's Adventures.
That's badass.
Dora the Explorer, the Michael Bay movie.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so I decided to do something a little more personal as far as like a choice. So we've talked about before, we're gonna do Nightmare on Elm.
We're in this movie when I was a kid.
We're gonna do Nightmare on Elm Street here soon. It'll actually be my next movie after this one. But as a kid, Nightmare on Elm Street was like the second horror movie I ever watched because my older sister would like torture me with showing me horror movies and then like picking on me saying that like these monsters from these movies were going to come get me. Like she even locked me outside one time in the dark and said that Freddy Krueger was coming for me. Well,
you had a wonderful family there, Cody.
Yeah, the first horror movie I ever saw was it's like a horror comedy film called Rumpelstiltskin. That's from like 95 or 96. And I don't remember anything about it. I just remember her like teasing me about Rumpelstiltskin when I was really little. So I'm interested just to go back and watch it and see like what the fuck the movie is, because like I said, I really just do not remember anything about that film. So that's going to be our next movie.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Okay, and then the movie after that, Rumpelstiltskin. Anyway. Damn, I had another fucking porno joke I was gonna make, but I lost it.
Rumpelstiltskin.
My next movie after that is gonna be Friday the 13th, Part 3, but not in 3D. And I have
oh man, I bought 3D.
I rewatched that movie. Well, I do have 3D glasses for it, asshole. But I don't have a TV for it. So it's one of those things where I watched this movie. I remember liking it as a kid, and liking because it's the one that introduces the hockey mask. But man, oh man, you guys are gonna rip that movie apart. I already know it, but I've already committed to the franchise, so we're gonna get through this speed bump. But yeah, so Friday the 13th Part 3 will be after that. Owen will decide the night of a recording of Friday the 13th.3, so there's no point asking.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Alrighty then.
What the fuck is that?
Why are you
noise?
beating off in there, Cody? What are you doing?
Sorry, I'm messing with these guitar picks that are sitting in front of me.
No, it's that guitar picks. He was jerking it like in Psycho when Vince Vaughn's is like, oh yeah,
He said,
oh my,
oh,
my.
yeah, he
Oh,
said Johnny Bravo. Oh, mama.
Oh my.
Maybe.
Well, I didn't realize that's what he's doing. You stop recording?
No.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize in the second Ace Ventura movie when he's in the little hut after seeing the chick's titties, and he's like, oh mama, oh, and then the guy walks in, he goes, Mr. Ventura, he's like, he covers himself up with a bunch of like leaves, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry, and he's like, I was just meditating. I didn't know that's what he was doing, so anytime someone starts jerking, I was like, oh mama, oh mama, oh mama. So stupid shit like that. Anyway, I guess that's it for this movie. This recording was off the fucking rails today.
This was Thrillville off the rails.
Yeah, Owen, do you want to say goodbye before we stop recording or no?
Bye. And as always,
No, finish him.
and as always, finish him off.
Finish him. Yeah, I didn't do it on the last episode. I'm sure I'm gonna catch shit from Sarah. Bye, everybody.